Philly Debatable, the show that debates the Philly sports topics you're discussing.
All right, let's get it going, and a good afternoon, everybody. It is Philly Debatable for today, which is July 27, 2023. It is a Thursday. I am Sean Brace. Over there on your screen is John Jansen. Good afternoon, John.
The weather's hot. The takes are hotter, though, Sean Brace.
We like that. Feed the take machine. All right, with that, let's get to it. Philly Debatable, where we debate the topics that you, Philadelphia sports fans, are discussing. So let's get to it. Question number one. Of course, we got the great Mike Powers behind the scene, doing a lot of juggling as always. The Philadelphia Phillies won the biggest series to date. Yeah, I said it. Big-time series victory over the Baltimore Orioles with a 6-4 capper last night. Nice comeback win as they were trailing 3-0. John Jansen, question one, over to you. Does it make you feel any better about this season so far?
I don't know if it makes me feel better, but I think it does confirm some of the things that the Phillies are good at right now. So I'm not feeling good about the lineup. I don't think I felt that. The confidence happened against that Baltimore pitching staff. But it does confirm, though, that the Phillies starting pitching is good. The Phillies bullpen is good. They had an excellent series against one of the best lineups in baseball that was #1 in the American League. And all they did was put in amazing work. Ranger Suarez gave up 4, but still battled through it. And also the bullpen was able to help him out. They held Baltimore to 3 runs, 2 runs, and 4 runs in each of the 3 games. That is really impressive, again, against one of the best in the American League. So the pitching staff, it's there. It's National League contending worthy, but I don't know if it means that the lineup, I got any more confident in that.
Well, that's fair. For me, does it make me feel any better? Absolutely. I'm a big guy that, this sends a message through the locker room.
The vibes are good.
Yes, and they know they have the ability because of what they did last year, but look, they went through a little bit of a tough stretch there, losing those games in Cleveland, and of course what happened with Milwaukee. And that's the funny part about this team. It's like they win 3 series, they lose 3 series. So here was a huge series against the Baltimore Orioles, and yes, I set that up. It is July Sports Talk. There's not really much to get to, but bottom line is they delivered. Bryce Harper went yard. That was a huge deal. He had a great series. How about Jake Cave? Big game for Mr. Cave yesterday and making that tremendous grab off the wall. Look, from the fans' perspective, it was a sellout all 3 nights. There were a ton of Baltimore Oriole fans who made the trip up 95 because of how big this series was. It really did have that World Series, that October or playoff baseball type feel. So, yes, this was a huge series victory for the Phillies, but ultimately, does it mean anything if they go to Pittsburgh and lose 2 or 3? Of course, the Marlins after that for a huge 4-game series down in Miami. If they lose that series, no, none of it matters. But the good vibes are really good right now. So let's keep it going. What do you say about that? All right, let's keep it moving. Of course, plenty of baseball to discuss over the next couple of months. Let's get on over to the football field because the Eagles reported to camp yesterday, a big deal for everybody around the Delaware Valley. And this was interesting because Seamus Clancy is going to join us from the PhillyVoice.com. He's the deputy sports editor over there. And he had a great post this morning about the Eagles' core 4. John, it listed the core 4 of Jason Kelce, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and Lane Johnson. 4 straight years starting in 2010 to 2012 or 2013, all drafted. And they're still here. The core 4, though, let's have some fun. Rank them. Yeah. And when you say rank them, it doesn't mean fantasy football. It doesn't mean, importance to the team. It's just vibes. It's just gut instinct. So for me, I'll take this one first. All right. Number 1 is easy, right? Jason Kelce. It's hard to argue. 6th-round draft pick, 2010. Dude was just, a monster from the jump. So when I look at him, or 2011, excuse me, because I think Brandon Graham was the first one drafted in 2010. So Jason Kelce for me is number 1. Everything he's brought to the table, returning to the team. And look, there was a time where you were like wondering, man, this guy is going to be the starting center for this team. He's been dominant. He's been the best center in the game for the last 5-6 seasons? I don't think that's a stretch. Jason Kelce's easy at number 1. Unfortunately, Fletcher Cox, and I don't think he's done anything bad, but it's easy for me to put him at number 4 on this list. With all love and respect, really good football player, but there are times that you wonder if he takes some plays off, so on and so forth. So it comes down to 2 and 3 for me, and this is where it gets a little difficult. At the same time, pretty easy, because Lane Johnson, he missed a lot of games. He's been suspended a few times. And I'm not trying to come off cold and callous, but he did disappear a couple seasons ago. regardless, he came back better than ever. He's really good. I get that. But Brandon Graham is that dude. I love BG. And that was a player that if you go back in time, I was wondering what the hell Andy Reid was doing because he played him out of position as soon as he came out of Michigan, didn't deliver right off the jump, undersized, and he's still tearing it up for the Eagles. And most of the players would say he's probably the backbone of the operation on the defensive side of the ball. Those are my 4. I ranked them. Over to you.
Ooh, I don't agree with your Fletcher Cox take at all. Fletcher Cox maybe takes plays off, and I think he has, because of the previous couple of seasons, maybe gone out of favor with the fan base. He was the most dominant player on the Eagles for a long time, though. He was one of the best defensive tackles, and the reason why he wasn't all-pro first team all the time is because Aaron Donald, one of the best defensive players of all time, was getting those nods over him. If it wasn't for Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox would be being talked about as one of the best defensive players over the past decade, and I think that dominance speaks for itself. So I have him at number 1, especially in an important position in defensive line, and especially because he gets the tackles for lost sacks. So I have Fletcher Cox at 1. Number 2 would probably be Jason Kelce. He also has a lot of all-pro first teams. He's been the best center in football. Again, I sometimes just maybe don't value the center position as much as I would a right tackle, left tackle, or even some of the defensive line. But it's hard to argue the leadership that Jason Kelce has and also the production as well. He's been one of the best centers in football. After that, I'd probably go Lane Johnson because he also has some all-pro nods. Very good right tackle in the NFL. Brandon Graham is a great player. I love Brandon Graham. To me, it came up with the biggest play in Eagles history, sacking and stripping Tom Brady in the Super Bowl for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. So he's come up with a big play, but he's just not as productive, not as good as the other 3 on this list. Has ended up becoming a great player for this franchise, a cornerstone piece for this franchise, but has he been an elite level like the other 3 were? I don't think so. So, yeah, I'm going Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, and Brandon Graham.
I believe you might be the only Eagles fan out there or anyone that has Fletcher Cox number 1.
He's that good, though. We were talking about that. We were talking about Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox.
This is 2019, 2020.
I know that, but he was in that conversation. That is an incredible conversation to be in.
I mean,
so it's hard to ignore.
Well, I got to back up there, too, because Aaron Donald has been on a playing field to himself.
Yes, I know.
Fletcher Cox was never even with Aaron Donald. Come on,
Fletcher Cox was talked about in that grouping, that he was that dominant as well. He was never Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's in his own stratosphere. That's like me saying Joe Burrow's number 2 behind Patrick Mahomes, even though nobody's close to Patrick Mahomes. That's the same with Aaron Donald, but still, Fletcher Cox was right behind him as the second best defensive tackle in football for quite a while. Yeah, I think that speaks for itself, and I think he should get some credit for being that good, that elite at his position.
All right, fun debate there. Let's keep it moving. Philly Debatable here on a Thursday, July the 27th. Question number 3. Let's stay in the NFL and big news at Jets camp, and this is really interesting. According to a number of reports, did you see what I did this morning? Sources, my sources were even telling me. Yeah, anyways, Tom Pelissaro had it about an hour before everybody started confirming. Yeah, my sources are telling me too. Dalvin Cook is a free agent, of course, with the Vikings all those years. Had a great career, a little banged up from time to time, but he is visiting the New York Jets, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be leaving the Jets camp without a contract. So, simple question over to you, John Jansen. What does it mean if Dalvin Cook signs with the New York Jets?
It feels like a little dream team vibes going on. Like they're just trying to throw everything at this offense to surround Aaron Rodgers with enough talent. And look, they've done so. The thing is, I don't know how much it changes the running back room. I think Dalvin Cook is one of the best running backs in the NFL, but still the running back grouping there in New York is pretty good with Michael Carter and Breece Hall. Breece Hall was on his way to being one of the best young running backs in the league, but got hurt. Injuries have plagued them, so it is good to have depth. It is good now that Dalvin Cook's probably going to be your number 1 running back. But overall, does it change projections? Should it change how you feel about the New York Jets? I don't think it should, because the running back room wasn't nearly a question to me at all. They were already good there. It just adds a little bit of security and depth, which is always a good thing. But yeah, it does feel like a little dream team. Hey, let's just bring in every big name that we can and see if it could all work out. Which in New York with the Jets, who knows?
Yeah, to see what Sean Payton had to say. Of course, we'll be
Sean
talking.
Payton has a lot to say.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun topic to discuss later on the Daily Ticket. But the odds right now for the New York Jets to make the playoffs on DraftKings Sportsbook -140. Their win total was 9.5. Rodgers with the MVP was 16-1 to get to the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl, 16-1 to win the AFC +1,000. I don't think it changes much on that front. But when we start to talk about teams that have potential to, of course, make a run, get to the playoffs, and then win 2 or 3 games, whether it's at home or on the road, and then to get to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, what do you need? Besides luck, you need depth. And when you add quality players like Dalvin Cook, a guy who just played all 17 games last year, who has over 1,000 yards rushing his last 4 seasons. Yeah, he's dealt with a ton of injuries, but that's a good thing when you have players that can, bounce back in or come into when they're called upon. So adding Dalvin Cook to the running back room might make that one of the best running back rooms in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
You might not be wrong.
You go down the list there's really a lot of potential. So this is a huge deal. And I think Aaron Rodgers deserves a lot of credit because he's been doing the right things, saying all the right things, and, of course, just freed up some money by giving some money back as far as the Jets being able to get a guy like Dalvin Cook in who's not going to be cheap. So this is a huge deal in my mind. I haven't bought into the Jets hype, but when you start adding players like this, I'm not going to go to the dream team because I get what Sean Payton is saying, the hard knocks, all that, New York, Rodgers, he brings it on himself with the McAfee stuff and all that. But, again, you need a solid roster to win a Super Bowl. You just can't go in there and luck into it. Doesn't happen. Sure, you can make the playoffs. Sure, you can win the division, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl unless you are locked and loaded from top to bottom. So adding Dalvin Cook, I'm interested. I'm definitely intrigued with what the Jets have right now. Yeah. Not done yet, but we'll see. Reporting he's not leaving Jets camp without a contract.
And I can put it this way, I think simply it's a bigger deal than DeAndre Hopkins going to Tennessee.
Absolutely.
It is a bigger deal.
I would say night and day.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Titans have much to throw the football. But, again,
at least, hey, Hopkins made his money.
Team success, much bigger deal. Much bigger deal adding Dalvin Cook if that's what takes place. All right, question number 4, Mike Powers behind the scenes. Let's stay in the NFL. Hey, camp, everybody's returning. And I'll go first on this one. Patrick Mahomes, believe it or not, is now the 8th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. As you can see, the question is, make sense of it. Well, I can't. Other than the fact that Mahomes did just sign a contract, 10 years for $450 million back in 2021. Ho-hum. Nobody's crying for Patrick Mahomes. I hope not, at least. But Justin Herbert just landed.
Financial stability, you think, in that contract?
Yeah, I'm sure everything's okay. He's going to be okay.
Yeah, I think he will.
Justin Herbert just landed that mammoth of a deal, which now makes him the highest average paid NFL player. Of course, all the quarterbacks are at the top of the list. It goes Justin Herbert, $52 million, 52.5, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Rodgers, Wilson, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Mahomes. It just, look, besides what happened with Lamar Jackson, which is probably his own fault, and Jalen Hurts wasn't easy, right, to get that contract done because of where he was drafted and, the sample size and maybe a flash in the pan. Who knows? I'm sure some bad things were said across the table when you're getting that contract done. That's just what the job is from the team's perspective to the agent and all that. But isn't it funny how every one of these deals just seem to just being like, okay, you got your deal. That's the benchmark. Next up, Justin Herbert. Guess what? Joe Burrow's next. He's going to get paid, I think, more than Justin Herbert. If he doesn't, it's only because he wants to free up money to help his team, like Aaron Rodgers just did. A little different perspective. Rodgers made a lot more money over the years, been in the league a hell of a lot longer than Joe Burrow. But again, make sense of it? I can't, other than the fact that it's just the way the thing works in the NFL. When a guy gets a contract, it's a salary cap league. Of course, next man up, next man up, next man up. And that's how it's going to be. We're going to see that in basketball. We're going to see that in NFL. Not so much in baseball because Shohei Ohtani is going to set the mark higher than we've ever seen. And I don't know who's going to come up next, but it's pretty easy to understand as far as the NFL is concerned.
It is. So I think we're kind of seeing the market being reset with this crop of quarterbacks. So you're right. Joe Burrow is now going to be the next quarterback. That'll be the highest paid quarterback. And then after him, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. That's the highest paid quarterback. But once that market gets reset, The Chiefs are going to keep restructuring this contract over and over and over again, whether to make it team-friendly at times, whether to give Patrick Mahomes more money. It's just a base contract of, yeah, you're here for 10 years, you have $500 million, and they're going to keep restructuring it over and over again. Look, and new signing bonuses, again, pushing money back towards the later parts of the contract, whatever the case may be. Mahomes is going to be the highest paid quarterback over the next 7-8 years. It's just not always going to look that way on an annual basis. So yeah, it's a little bit weird how the market is set. I don't know how much the market can continue to be reset or continue to be kind of broken over and over again. But at the moment, there are quarterbacks actually worth paying in this new crop of quarterbacks, this new crop of very young elite quarterbacks. I don't know when that's going to stop, but for now, it's going to continue to be one-upping over and over again. But the thing is, Patrick Mahomes is also going to get that contract reset every few years. And it feels like that's going to happen after the next year or so.
If we had to drink every time you brought Trevor Lawrence's name up, we would be just drunk 24/7.
He was perfectly fine in the context of this question.
Yeah, I know.
Because is he not going to get paid? Joe Burrow's getting paid.
What if he has?
Going to get paid.
Yeah.
Then after Joe Burrow comes Trevor Lawrence.
What if Trevor Lawrence has a bad year this year? You think he's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league?
Trevor Lawrence is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league after he gets his contract. Not for long.
Yes.
See, we know that.
Exactly.
It's going to be a new quarterback.
By that time, Mahomes will re-up, and the next thing you know, he'll be the highest paid quarterback.
If you are a top 5 to 7 to 8 quarterback in the league, once we obviously get like the Dak Prescotts, he's not going to set the market like they do. But yeah, you go into the next 5 to 7 to 8 quarterbacks, you're going to get a high contract where you are going to set records in the NFL for contracts. You're going to be the number 1 paid quarterback, and that's just the way it is. I don't know if it's the right way to do things. I don't know if any of this is the right way to do things because of running backs not getting paid and quarterbacks being paid higher than they maybe should, as you're kind of asking with this question. But it's just the way things are. But the Chiefs know, and Patrick Mahomes knows it well, his contract's going to continue to be reworked over and over and over.
He's doing all right. He's averaging $45 million per year, I think.
Him
and the wife are going to do it.
He will be the highest paid quarterback out of all of these guys.
Hey, look, we made perfect sense of it. So let's keep it moving. Philly Debatable. Question number 5. And this is a fun one because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one of my favorite players ever will be in studio tomorrow, live on the Daily Ticket, promoting Chickaboom Chicken. Yes, Chickaboom Chicken on Island Avenue. It's their grand opening happening this weekend on Saturday, July 29th. It will start at 2 p.m. We'll have all the information for you tomorrow. But as you can see, Randy Moss, he's coming in the studio. He's going to join us, 2 schlubs, on the Daily Ticket tomorrow.
2 schlubs that love chicken sandwiches.
Oh, that's hopefully they do bring some of that Chickaboom Chicken in with them.
I think I can be all right.
But, with that being said, he's got so many. Randy Moss. I was talking about this when we played golf in the Swingin' and Dingin' Open with John Kruk. That's wheelhouse. That's when I was a kid. Randy Moss is wheelhouse because that's when I fell in love with football, right? From Marshall and all the nonsense with Notre Dame and Florida State. This is before social media. You heard, how did you find out about high school players? It was the last page in Sports Illustrated. Randy Moss, 6 catches, 450 yards in someplace in Virginia I never heard of. This guy was unbelievable from start all the way to finish. So with that being said, John Jansen, over to you. What is your favorite Randy Moss memory over the years?
It's got to be, and I think it's because of the Joe Buck call that I find it even better. Obviously, it's mooning Green Bay in Lambeau Field after scoring a touchdown. He goes to the goalpost. He pretends to moon Lambeau Field and the Green Bay fans. But I think it's more of the overreaction of Joe Buck being like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen displayed on a football field. And it just feels like Randy Moss always was just one of those players that was, because of how talented he was, how open he was about being how talented he was, and just how fun he was. I think that was a good part of it. And look, I don't know if we're going to see mooning again like he did, but I think players like Randy Moss open the door for now, players in the NFL celebrating like they do and just the NFL being fun. Randy Moss, to me, was just fun. Yeah,
and there's so many good memories, so many great catches. Mark Henry Jr. tweeted us a memory.
So many great stats.
When he caught the ball deep and then flea flickered it back to Mo Williams for a touchdown. Of course, one of the memories comes with the New England Patriots at the last game at Giant Stadium when he caught that one down the sideline. He squirted the ref with the water bottle. I love the fro. There's so many ones that come to my mind. Marshall, I just remember those circle socks, right? The socks with the circles around it all the way down, and him just blazing by everybody. But again, it's to what you just brought up, that play, that game where I think he had 2 touchdowns in a playoff game at Lambeau back in 2005. And the reason why he did moon is because he said when he got to the NFL, first time he played Green Bay, all the Green Bay fans mooned him. Actually, nothing but white butts. He said that was his welcome to the NFL moment. Now, my favorite memory, it's one of the best sound bites in sports history. Hey, Randy, how are you going to pay that $10,000 fine that you just got for pretending to moon the Green Bay fans on national TV when Joe Buck was, losing his hair? And he said, straight cash, homie, as he's getting into the truck in that cold Minnesota morning where you could just see the breath, coming out of his mouth, and he was fined $10,000. That soundbite still lives to this day. Straight cash, homie. It's definitely my favorite Randy Moss memory.
Yeah, it is. I also remember not being able to use the Patriots when he went there in Madden because they were a cheat code.
Yeah,
it was not fair.
They were cheat code. But at the same time, throwing the ball deep to Randy Moss with Culpepper and the Vikings.
I love that.
That was a cheat code as well.
That was a cheat code.
Randy.
Culpepper was good back in those days.
That's a throwback to East Carolina when we played nothing but poker, and whenever you lost, you went to the other room to play Madden, and my boy used the Vikings at all the time. 03, 04, 05. That was great. Yeah.
Smart friends.
Yeah, hold them, and then over to the Madden room when you lost. Great times, great memories, great memories. All right, let's keep it going here, Phil. Debatable, as always, 30 seconds on the clock. John Jansen, go first.
Yeah, we can't have it both ways in Major League Baseball, not wanting teams to sell players away, to continue to not invest in their clubs. Los Angeles is investing in the Angels. They are investing in Shohei Ohtani. They're investing in trying to make that a playoff team.
Lucas Giolito?
Investing. It's something.
Okay.
They don't have much of a farm system. Look, I get that they could probably trade away Shohei Ohtani. They can rework a farm system that is not very good. But I want teams to invest. I want teams, when they have great players, to pay them, to put everything they can around them to try and get them into the playoffs and to try and get them into a spotlight that we want to see them in. I applaud the Angels for that. They want to invest. They want to keep Ohtani. They want the chance of keeping Ohtani, and they want the chance to make the playoffs. We can't just say all of a sudden, well, that's the wrong thing to do, because we pan the Pirates when they do it. We pan Oakland when they do it. The Angels invested. I applaud them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Oh, by the way, they've won 6 of their last 7, if I'm not mistaken. I know they haven't beaten
Angels are hot.
They haven't beaten the best opponents. I wonder if that has something to do with it. A little fool's gold. I don't have any issue with it. I didn't think Artie Moreno was going to move off of him because he's the owner and he cares about one thing only. But I'm not going to get caught up in Lucas Giolito. All of a sudden, this team's going to make the playoffs. Oh yeah, watch out!
Can't forget that.
Yeah, thank you. So, anyways, that's not my 30 seconds. My 30 seconds over to me. I'm just so happy that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of this franchise, our favorite team in this city. His first press conference yesterday, if you know me, I do get a little, it gets me going.
You're wrong. You like the rock.
He gets me going, man. He really does. And I know we argued about it where John believes he speaks a lot from the coach speak, and that's fine. That's what he should. But as far as leadership and inside that locker room, you're not going to get, nothing's going to slide with Jalen Hurts as long as he's the starting quarterback of this team. Everybody looks up to him. Whether you're on the defensive side of the ball, offense, special teams, coaching staff, it does not matter. Jalen Hurts, press conference number 1, just had me going. We're going to be playing the best of on the Daily Ticket today from 3 to 6 p.m., so please join us. I can't wait for this season. Jalen Hurts just has the juices going. Let's go. All right, as always, Philly Debatable, Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can catch us on our YouTube channel, Fox Sports The Gambler. And if you missed that, we're airing it, as always, on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:30 on The Gambler, which is streaming always on the iHeartRadio app, FM, AM, HD2. We got you covered there. So please, all the ways that you can watch us, hear us, please do so. Subscribe, and let your friends know that there's a new sheriff in town. It's The Gambler.
And let your friends know about SummerSlam.
Yes, SummerSlam. I told you on Tuesday, Vesper, get your tickets now. They're going fast. A lot of tickets were sold the first 2 days. Hey, each ticket purchased, you get an opportunity to win a pair of WrestleMania tickets that's going down in Philadelphia next year. Those tickets are going to go for $2,000, $3,000. All you got to do is buy a $15 ticket or a $50 ticket for an open bar and buffet next Saturday at Vesper. It's a watch party, SummerSlam, Buster in the building, and friends, Philly Captain, myself, Jansen. I'm hearing Dunphy's coming. I mean, it's going to be loaded. Dress up, all right? We're giving away a $200 gift card to the best costume, which I think I'm going to win because, baby, watch out. Ooh, what a rush. All right, Philly Debatable. This was fun. Everybody have yourself a wonderful Thursday night. Go Birds.